Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I picked up a cold on my way I just got back from a road trip from San Diego to Seattle. So some of the videos that you guys listened to this past week were things I had pre-recorded, but then I was actually doing at least one video per day while I was on my road trip. Usually I don't talk about when I'm going somewhere until after the fact, So we literally flew into San Diego and then drove up the coast. I did this a couple of years ago, but we took a different route this time. We stopped in some different places. Started in San Diego, spent the first night in Malibu, and I literally had a margarita looking out at the ocean there in Malibu. That's an expensive place. I was joking about how my son should go play baseball at Pepperdine University because it's right there in Malibu, and I'm like, what kind of a good time could a young man have in this town? So we stopped in Malibu, and then we went up to, where was the next place? The next day we went through San Francisco, crossed the Golden Gate Bridge, and we spent the night in Mill Valley, California, which is a very nice place. Had some great Italian food there. Then we went, the next day we went through Eureka, and we spent the night, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the place, but it was right there north of Eureka, and we were actually on the, it was like, I think we were on the ocean there in like one of those Airbnbs. Then from there, we went through Coos Bay. I had some excellent, can't remember exactly where it was, but I had some excellent, is it Bandon, Oregon? Had some excellent seafood. Then we went up and we stayed in Newport one night, and we had like 2 houses there, and it was like, you get a lot for your money there. We had some good food there. Then the next day we went up through, we drove all the way from Newport up through Astoria. Astoria is where they filmed The Goonies, for those of you that have seen that movie. Then we went up around the top of Washington. Went all the way up here. There's a place right here in the top corner of Washington called Forks, and that is where they filmed the the kid vampire movie. It's like a series. And you know how I am. I always draw blanks on the names of these things. Twilight, isn't that what it was called? That vampire series, a lot of it was filmed in Forks, Oregon, or Forks, Seattle. So then we went across the top through Port Angeles and dropped down into Seattle, and we flew out of Seattle back home yesterday. It was a fun trip. I recommend everybody go and see that area of the country. Now, check it out. Leading financial institution Moody's Corporation is reportedly working on a scoring system for up to 20 stable coins. Now remember, folks, when you hear Moody's or S&P, go ahead and write down that these people are paid by Wall Street to do their ratings. And I've talked about it before on this. If you watch The Big Short, there's a scene in the movie The Big Short where the guy's like, he's meeting with a woman from S&P, and he's like, well, this is crazy. The Wall Street firms are paying you to rate their products, and then they're turning around and selling their products. There's a built-in conflict of interest here. And after the and that was what they were doing. The woman said that's just the way it works. After the financial crisis, nobody did anything to fix that. Okay? So now we're going to have crypto coming in, and the same ratings agencies that are doing Wall Street's bidding, okay, they're getting paid by these guys to rate these things. Same people are going to be telling you which digital assets are a plus, A++ or a C++. You got to pay to play, right? Okay, now check this out. As per the Prime Minister of Montenegro, the nation launched a pilot project to build the first digital currency or stablecoin for Montenegro in cooperation with Ripple and the central bank. And then we got this, here's a few pictures of Brad Garlinghouse, and I think that's James Wallace. Now, I don't know if those are beers, but if they are, it looks like James Wallace may be drinking 4 or 5 beers in the meeting. No, I'm just kidding. Those are probably some kind of special kind of water or sparkling water or something, because it looks like one of those fancy Davos meetings. It says Davos right there, so I'm assuming that's where they met. Now, we've got this. 196 members of Congress took this stolen money. Excuse me. The cold is real. 196 members took this stolen money. This is from FTX. Corruption for $1,000, Alex. Congress FTX problem. 1 in 3 members of Congress got cash from FTX. All right. Then we've got this. Jeremy Hogan's weighing in. You remember we covered yesterday how Elizabeth Warren was was giving Gary Gensler all of the questions. Her staff was giving Gary Gensler all the questions before he had to go up to do hearings in front of Congress. Her job, anybody in Congress, their job is to oversee the SEC, not to work with the SEC. And so she, as Jeremy Hogan says, it's not illegal that I know of, but definitely unethical, since her job is to provide oversight of the SEC, and that obviously conflicts with her feeding questions and answers to the head of the agency she is supposed to be keeping an eye on. John Deaton says, in other words, Elizabeth Warren has dishonored her oath and her office and flipped the bird to the people that elected her, whoever those people are. John Deaton says, we will soon witness the final and most aggressive push to shut down crypto. Well, shut down certain crypto if they're not in bed with White House, Gary Gensler, Wall Street. It says, breaking, the White House just published its crypto policy roadmap, saying Bitcoin adoption by mainstream institutions would be a grave mistake. Then we've got this. John Deaton is apparently involved in this. There's a hearing today in the library case. My understanding of this is that this hearing will, I think, what they're talking about is determining whether not XRP, but digital assets in the secondary market are securities. I could be wrong, but I think that's why this is so important. We'll find out more about that today. Now, you need to hear the second part of this. This guy's apparently a guy who's been meeting with people on Wall Street. Do not let these people fool you into thinking that digital assets are going somewhere. There's a reason that they're trying to scare these markets right now. And you better believe that the Wall Street people, all the people behind the scenes, are taking this buying opportunity for what it is, because this is how they play the game. They create the buying opportunities. They buy while they scare you. And then everybody, all the retail people, months down the road are going, oh man, I wish I would have bought back then. Not the digital asset investor.
Exciting industry I have ever been in. Bar none. I've been in 5 of them, 5 big ones. I love the youth of the people. I was in Wall Street this whole week. I think companies investing in this space are more serious today than they were a year ago, and far more serious than they were 3 years ago. I'm really excited what I saw in New York this week, because there are 150-year-old monster institutions that are coming in this space. They've been studying it. They have not stubbed their toe yet. They didn't get involved with some of this bullshit, and they're going to launch and they're deploying a monster amount of intellectual capital behind it.
Yeah, I mean, BlackRock's here, JP Morgan's here, Fidelity is massively here in the crypto space. You don't get much bigger names than that. They're just sort of quietly evolving. I love the point you made earlier about always wanting to be where there's disruption. You talked about it being technological disruption, regulatory disruption. I think we've clearly had the technological disruption from crypto, which you described well, certainly in the payment space. Are you concerned about the regulatory disruption that could potentially be coming as a
Okay. Before I show you the rest of this video, which I'm sure the crypto police could come out, everything I'm going to talk about is hypothetical stuff, but you need to understand that Link2 still has Ripple equity on their platform. I mean, they constantly sell out of it and then get more on the platform. But they're one of my sponsors. The link will be in the very top of the description. Now, pay close attention from here on. All right. A lot of people don't remember it or may never have known it, but there was a fundamental valuation framework for crypto assets done by Robert Mitchnick and Susan Athey, who's on Ripple's board, back in June 2018. Okay? And what I'm asking here basically is, you know, everybody's getting all upset about Molly Elmore and Jimmy Valley and all these people trying to come up with their own version of a valuation for XRP. And I'm not talking about the price or any of that stuff. That's not what I'm getting at here. But valuing it itself and acting like the value of XRP matters is not insulting at all, because I know everybody talks about, oh, this is all about building. But if you think that the people involved in all this don't care about the price, then and all they care about is building, then I've got an igloo in South Georgia that's still for sale, and I'll sell it to you. The fact that they did a valuation in 2018, do you really think, let me ask you a question. Does anybody listening to my voice really believe, do you really believe that these guys, the people behind XRP and all these people, do you really believe that they have not done models and valuations on hypothetical prices for XRP? Of course they're not going to talk about it. They can't. But that doesn't mean Jimmy Valley and Molly Elmore and me and anybody else can't talk about it, because I've learned this I'm now 49 years old, by the way. At 49 years old, what I've learned is that if they say it's not about the money, it's about the money. And if they say, no, you're wrong, it's not about the money, it's about the money. Okay? And that's the fact, Jack. That fact may be more of a more prominent fact of life than any fact I know of. It's about the money. It's always about the money, folks. All right? Now, on to make my point. Now, I want you to see this, because a lot of people, all they're focused on, oh, you're putting this ridiculous price out, and Jimmy Valley this, Jimmy Valley that, and these people they're crazy, and this and this and this. No. I grew up in real estate, folks. My father was a home builder. I was sweeping sheetrock dust. I can still smell it. I was sweeping sheetrock dust in high school, middle school, high school. That's what I did. Okay, my sons don't even know how to sweep. I could teach them how to sweep, and I should. I've tried. Okay, but I was sweeping these houses out, and I grew up in real estate. And in real estate, you have a thing called comps. Okay, a comp is, you know, if all the houses in the neighborhood are selling for an average of $115 a square foot, and all of a sudden a guy comes in and he buys a house for $145 a square foot, they now have a comp, a comparable, for purposes of comparison. And this guy has just come in and established a new value, a new market value for the real estate. Now that won't mean that all of them are going to sell for 145, but he's created a comparable that people can now use for valuation purposes. Okay, appraisers. All right, it works the same way in valuing all kinds of things, private equity, and I'll show you in a minute what Ripple did. Now, I want to give proper credit. You should give him a subscribe. This is Crypto Lulu. He did this video, and I took a clip out. But before the clip plays, you're going to see what Brad Garlinghouse said back in the day. Watch this.
When XRP was created, this actually was created before Ripple existed. The creators of XRP decided there'd be 100 billion units because they saw it as rather than having a smaller number with a very high price, they saw it as something they wanted to be effectively a global reserve currency.
The other thing behind this, right, is the establishment of fair market value.
That's it, folks. It's not just right now, think about this for a minute. Right now, XRP is not on the exchanges. It's only on one, Uphold. But value can be established not just in markets like that. It can be established in other ways. Listen to what he says.
So this may be the plan, The plan may be to use XRP as the world reserve currency, right? The problem they have is that they're all on that side of the table. So they can't really they know it's the plan. They can't establish that to be fair market value for us. They actually have to engage in a open transaction of some type to set where we know that that's their plan, right? And that we would be willing to sell our property for that value, right? That's how they would actually.
No, I want to get my thoughts out while we're doing this. Now, I want you to think about this for a minute. I did a video on it this week. Who in your life, what company, who have you ever heard in any company that you've ever studied or followed? Have you ever heard anybody come out and say, oh, well, our goal for this thing we're dealing with is to be a global reserve currency? I've never heard. The reason I've been doing this channel for over 4 years is because I've heard things come out of this company I've never heard come out of any company ever. Never heard of anything like this. So it's not crazy for us to think that there's some larger plan here. That is not crazy. Anybody who thinks that's crazy and thinks, oh, well, this is just what the developers are working on, that is bull. These types of things are not said. Chris Larson said, oh, well, yeah, we picture this as being more like the Swiss franc. That's the chairman of a company? What? I've never heard anybody in any company make any kind of bold claims like this. To make those kind of bold claims, it's almost like you have to be working with people that are way higher up than what you are in this little startup company. Okay? So the point is, and it is not that Ripple would do some kind of price set. It's that if there's some grander plan here, that you might have to do some type of a set that everybody would benefit, as in it could be countries benefiting. It could be the United States. It could be multiple countries. Listen to what he says.
Establish the fair market value, which will then imply or infer the value of all their holdings. So,
right, imagine that.
Let's just say that there was one global bank. There's one bank, just for the sake of, kind of figuring this out. There's one bank and it already holds 90% of the XRP. Only thing is, it's got all these liabilities and it's 90% of the XRPs at 35 cents. And so it's not near enough to basically offset, to be an asset that offsets those liabilities, right? They need a transaction where they can write up the value of their XRP.
Yeah.
Why not buy the
Listen to what he said. They needed a transaction that can write up the value. Folks, Ripple has already done this. This is not some crazy idea. Ripple has already done this, and I will show you.
10% that's out in retail? We think it's substantially less than that that's out in retail. We think it's between 0.5 point and 2 points of the whole thing that's actually held by retail. So $500 million to $2 billion.
Okay.
Of the whole thing. So anyway, they got to buy the 10% in our example here, and why not set the price at the high price that you're now 90% does cover all of your liabilities. That's how it works, and this is just like
he's about to tell you. He's going to use the example of everybody was like, well, Elon Musk, he's paying too much for Twitter and all this, and all of a sudden, Elon Musk has established the price.
Simple. This happens every day in capital markets, and when Elon bought Twitter, right? Twitter was probably trading at $43 or something a share, and he said, "I'm going to pay 50." Was it 54.20? There was a 420.
Yeah.
I'm going to pay 54.20, and that represented a premium. But the value of the company then was worth what he paid for it. Because
folks, I can remember conversations with my father when I was learning about real estate. I can remember him talking about a piece of property that he owned, and I can remember him talking about, hey, well, I bought this at whatever, let's say hypothetically $20 a square foot, and then so-and-so just came in and bought the land right next to it at $50 a square foot. So my land is now worth X amount, this much more than what I bought it for. This is how the real world works. Imagine, now folks, and I want to show you that Ripple's already done this. Remember when Ripple, the equity was valued at $10 billion? Now remember, this is private market, folks. It was valued at $10 billion. Then when the lawsuit dropped, there was one of Ripple's venture capital firms had some kind of clause, as I recall, where they said, okay, if you come in, if XRP is a call to security, then you have to buy us back out of our investment. And so Ripple said, okay, we'll buy you out, but we'll buy you out at an amount that puts us at a $15 billion valuation. They've now established the market value of the Ripple private equity at a $15 billion valuation. See how this works? Why would it be any different with XRP? Today's VAT this morning, it was at 40 cents XRP. Now, these numbers I'm about to show you are purely hypothetical, and I'm not even talking about Ripple. Before I make the point, I want to show you this. Remember when Jeremy Hogan was talking about, he's talked several times about how the escrow, this has got to be a lot about the escrow. Attorney discusses worst case scenarios of SEC lawsuit against Ripple. For attorney Jeremy Hogan, the most likely outcome of the SEC lawsuit against Ripple is a settlement with a large fine. The SEC could restrict XRP sales from escrow. Okay? But the point is that yes, it was used as a weapon, but the escrow is everything. Because the escrow, when you see the numbers I'm about to show you, the escrow could literally make Ripple worth what a country's worth. I mean, so you can see how the government would be wanting to target that. But what I'm talking about is global. You going around talking about, oh yeah, our goal is to be a global reserve currency. Who says that, not thinking that the government might come after them, is my question. All right. So now I'm going to get to my number. These are just hypothetical numbers. Now, again, I've shown you Ripple did it with their valuation on their equity. They literally, it was valued at $10 billion, and then they bought their shares back and it valued it at $15 billion. Thus, the value is not $10 billion anymore. It's now $15 billion. If you can do it with your equity, why would you not do it with your XRP? So these are hypothetical. The numbers are not even correct. I don't know how many XRP. I didn't even mean owns here. Escrow. Okay. All right. So this is an assumption, and I know it's wrong. Okay. I know that in the escrow it's not 40 billion, and I know that retail does not have 5 billion. I just put these numbers in just for illustration. So assuming Ripple had 40 billion XRP in escrow and retail had 5 billion XRP. The current XRP value is at around 40 cents. So Ripple's XRP at this would be worth around 16 billion. The retail XRP would be worth around 2 billion. So let's assume that XRP never goes back on the exchanges. Let's think about this one for a minute. What if it didn't go back? Well, now all of a sudden, how do you get a valuation? Because the valuation is if there's no markets out there, then there's no valuation. Well, if you're Ripple, why would you not want to go to a closing table and say, hey, we want to give we want to suck all this retail stuff back in, and we'll pay you guys, it might be $10 or $5 or $100. But in this example, I just use 100. So all of a sudden you've got no market, just hypothetically. Let's say Ripple offered $100, or whoever now controls the escrow. Maybe a lot of people are in control of the escrow. Maybe the U.S. government and other governments. Who knows? I don't know how this works. Let's say that. Well, whoever that is, people can turn in their XRP for $100. Would you turn yours in for $100? I bet you would. All right. And then all of a sudden, that escrowed XRP now, if that happened, that escrow is now worth 4 trillion and 500 billion is paid out in one transaction. 500 billion. And now instead of being worth 16 billion, the escrow is now worth 4 trillion. If you could do a transaction like that, my question is, why would you not do it? If you can do it with your equity, then why would you not do it with your XRP? Why would you not do an XRP buyback? That's the question. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family. I want to know why you would not do an XRP buyback.